Let me just start off by saying I haven't played a Ninja Gaiden game since way back in the day. Probably like 1942, when I rented it from a Blockbuster or something. That said, Ninja Gaiden 2 was an iconic action game for its time. So I approached this remake expecting a rush of high-octane combat and a wave of nostalgia. Unfortunately, I didn't really get any of that. Reviewing a remake like this is tricky. How much credit does it get for sticking to the original versus fixing old flaws? And since I can't really remember the original, since it's been 1,000 years, I don't really have that nostalgia to lean on. All I can do is judge it as a first-time player, and honestly, it left me with a bitter aftertaste. The story feels like a fever dream cooked up by a 70s action movie junkie after a weekend binge. You've got Blade Runner Japan, Invincible Power Ranger ninjas, CIA secret agents, and monsters, all crammed together in a plot so absurd it makes Samurai Cop look like a serious drama. While some might get a kick out of the over-the-top chaos, the lack of any coherent narrative made it hard for me to care. It's a mishmash of wild ideas that might appeal to fans of campy action, but for me, it was pretty shallow and too ridiculous to take seriously. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Ninja Gaiden was renowned for its combat mechanics, but here they fell disappointingly short. They're probably just out of date. The combat feels like a chaotic button mashing fest, and often I found myself smashing buttons purely out of frustration rather than strategy. There's no real sense of control or precision, which surprises me for a series based on fighting ninjas. To make matters worse, the hardest enemy in the entire game isn't a boss or a horde of enemies. It's the camera. The camera struggles to keep up during combat, often leaving you with no idea what's happening or where your enemies are. But if in doubt, mash it out. Is there even a way to target enemies effectively? If there is, the game certainly didn't do a good job of explaining it. Visually, the remake does have some redeeming qualities. The environments and lighting, powered by Unreal Engine, look polished and add some modern flair. However, for me, there wasn't anything really groundbreaking or memorable about the art direction. While visually it does look better than the original, it doesn't really leave a lasting impression. The sound design in Ninja Gaiden 2 is another area where I don't know what's going on. The music choices are weird, to say the least. Imagine being at a rave in the Matrix rather than engaging in intense ninja battles. To me, it just felt disjointed and out of place. The sound effects didn't help either. They sound like what I imagine the 2008 game sounded like 20 years ago. But I guess maybe all the sound design was purposeful. Maybe they wanted it to sound like that. Overall, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black delivers an experience marred by chaotic combat, camera issues, and lack of polish in key areas. That is other than lighting. While the visual improvements and absurd storyline might find their niche audience, the overall package feels dated and frustrating. Unless you're a longtime fan or have a high tolerance for chaos, I would suggest giving this one a pass. There are far better action games out there, and remakes I will add, that manage to combine challenge, fun, and polish far more effectively. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for future content. And as always, I love to hear your thoughts. If you have a favorite or least favorite game you think I should review, drop it in the comments down below. Game on, and I'll see you in the next one.